सान्द्रानन्दावबोधात्मकमनुपमितं कालदेशावदिभ्या निर्मुक्तं नित्यमुक्तं निगमशतसहस्रेण निर्भास्यमानम् अस्पष्टं दृष्टमात्रे पुनः उरुपुरुषार्थात्मकं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तत्तावत् भाति साक्षात् गुरुपवनपुरे हन्त भाग्यं जनानाम् अग्रे पश्यामि तेजो निबिडतरकला यावली लोभनीयं पीयूषाप्लावितोऽहं तदुतरे दिव्यकैशोरवेशं तारुण्यारम्भरम्यं परमसुखरसास्वाद रोमाञ्चिताङ्गैः आवीतं नारदाद्यैः विलसदुपनिषत् सुन्दरी मण्डलैश्च
Gurupavanapure Hantabhagyam Janana. Namaskaram to all the Astikas. Dhruva, one of the greatest devotees, bhaktas, Bhagavatottamas that we have known in our tradition, is said to have been extremely attached to Bhagavan. But when did that happen? In the Purva Charitram, we saw how, as a little boy of 4 to 5 years, he wanted to go and sit on his father's lap, Uttanapada's lap, like his very other brother called Uttama. But he was reprimanded by his stepmother Suruchi. And his own mother Suniti expressed helplessness. But what she did was, she guided her little boy Dhruva to the lotus feet of Bhagavan. What did the boy do after that? Bhattatri says, Akarnya sopi bhavadarchana nishchitatma mani niretya nagarat kila Panchavarshaha Sandrishta Narada Nivedita Mantramargaha Tvamararadha Tapasa Madhukananante. Akarnya, after having heard his mother Suniti's advice, Saha, that Dhruva, that boy, Panchavarshaha Api, who was only 5 years of age. Only 5 years. Because Puranas say 4 to 5. So, Panchavarshaha Api, Mani Kila. But you know, that little boy was extremely emotional, very self-respecting. You know, certain children in our houses, you tell them something, they'll say same to you and they'll just run away. But here is the boy who was very self-respecting. He said, how could, in Hindi they say, Guru, ko aise kaise kar sakte hain. So he was very, very hurt by these words of Suruchi. Mani kila bhavadarchana nishchitatma. So he made up a firm mind. Ekastha hridayanunam. One mind he made. What one mind? Bhavadarchana nishchitatma. To worship you alone. Archana. That is to worship only you. At that point in time, Niretya Nagarar, having left the city, Sandrishta Narada Nivedita Mantramargaha, having been instructed by the mantra, he left the city and then he went to Sandrishta Narada Nivedita. So he saw Narada Maharshi on the way. And Narada Maharshi guided him. Here there is a small difference. In Bhagavata Puranam, it is Narada who guides Dhruva. In Parashara's Vishnu Puranam, it is the Sapta Rishis who guide the boy. Either case, the Rishis guided him. So, Sandrishta Narada Nivedita Mantra Margaha. He saw them on his way, Rishis and saying, along with Narada. And what did they do? Mantra Margaha. They gave the Upadesham of a mantra, which is Dvadashakshari we call. There is Pranavam, there is Namaha, there is Bhagavataha, Narayana Shabdam. So these are the 12 aksharas that make the Dvadashakshari. So Araradhatvam Tapasa, propitiated you by penance. So he propitiated, this boy, Dhruva, propitiated you. I am telling you again and again. The word you throughout Narayaneeyam means Krishna, Vasudeva, the Devata of Guruvayur called Guruvayurappan. So Bhattatri says he propitiated you. Araradhatvam tapasa. Where did he do the penance? After receiving the mantra, where did he do? Madhukananante, in a place called Madhuvanam. This Madhuvanam is what is later called Madhura or Mathura in Uttara Pradesh, in Uttara Bharatam, north of India. So then comes the next shloka. Tate Vishanna Hridaye Nagarin Gatena Shri Naradena Parisantwita Chitta Vrittau Balastvadarpita Manaha Kramavardhitena Ninye Kathora Tapasa Kila Panchamasan Tate Vishanna Hridaye. That father who Uttanapada, though he didn't stop Suruchi from saying such words, he was filled with lot of remorse. He couldn't question her, but this was cowardice in a way, but he was very hurt that Parisantwita Chitta Vrittau Sati was comforted. Now the father was equally worried. That time he was comforted. Srinaradena Gatena Nagarim. Narada, who had gone to that city, comforted him. He said, don't worry, good things will happen to your son. Saha Balaha, that boy, Kila Ninye. Now let us see what happens to Dhruva, because Narada gave Upadesham of Dvadashakshari Mahamantram, Vasudeva Mahamantram to the boy, along with other Saptarishis, sending the boy to the forest. On the other hand, the father was very worried. Uttanapada, that his son is missing. Why did he hurt his son? Why did he observe that somebody else was hurting his son? That time Narada comes and calms down the father. Now let's see what the boy does. Saha Balaha, that boy, Kila Ninye, he spent. What did he spend? Panchamasan, 5 months he spent. Kathora Tapasa, intense austerities. That is when Puranas say once in 3 days he had Badara juice and Kapitha juice. Then once in 6 nights he used to have dry leaves. Then he started consuming just water, only living on water. Then Vayu Bhakshaha, Abhakshaha, Vayu Bhakshaha iti. So he started with Kapitha and Badara juice, then proceeded to leaves, then proceeded to all of this. So this is what we see in our list. So he says, Panchamasan, Kathora Tapasa, Krama Vardhitena. Gradually that intensity increased. Tvad Arpita Manaha, with his mind fully dedicated to you. He did all this tapasya. Why? He was extremely devoted to you, Krishna. The boy couldn't take his mind and eyes off you. He was always seeing you in his inner vision, in his yoga drishti. That little boy, for such long period, took that Kathora tapas. That is when he says, Tavat tapobala niruchya vasite digante devathitastvamudaya karunadrachetaha twadrupa chidrasa nilina mate purastar avirbabhuvita vibho garudadhirudhaha. Hey Vibho, hey the one who Vibhutvam. Vibhutvam means that property or attribute of Bhagavan, where he is there everywhere. We are all Anutve Sati Chetanatvam. Jivatma is Anutve Sati Chetanatvam. We are present only in that spot. This Jivatma is within my body. So there is knowledge. My Jivatma is not within you. My Jivatma does not pervade the world. Had it pervaded the world, it would have known about everything and everybody at all points in time. I know about one person today, now, in this Janma. I may not know about another person who is living in Scotland or Ukraine or anywhere. So this property or attribute of Bhagavan, where he knows about everything and everybody at all points in time, is because of his ability to pervade. Hence he is called Vibhu. So he says, Hey Vibho, the one who pervades everywhere, Tavat, when that Dhruva, that little boy's tapasya, penance, reached its peak, zenith, at that point in time, Digante, all living beings in this world, what happened to them? Tapobala niruchyavasite. So they were all suffocated. See, you may ask, why will Dhruva's devotion suffocate others? See, nature has its own power. Water has its own power. We see it during floods. Fire has its own power, which we see during forest fire. Air has its own power. We see during tornadoes and winds. And earth has its own power. We see during earthquakes. So all these panchabhutas, right, from Akasham, Vayu, Agni, water and earth, they all have their own powers. But they all can come under the control of a great dharmatma, which means a person, a single human being, short 5 feet 7 inches, human being's tapasya can be so high that it can bring all of this under control. When Panchabhutas come under control, the dogs and the cats and the lions and the hyenas and the elephants and the hippos and the rhinos and the snakes and all the insects and the viruses and the bacteria coming under control is no big deal. This is called Yoga Rahasyam. So this boy, through his yoga, through his tapasya, was able to suffocate the earth, which means nothing died. But they all felt that something very powerful has engulfed the world, which is the boy's tapasya. Tvam devarthitaha. Then the devas udayat karunadra chetaha. That is when you took mercy on the devas. The devas said, see, we are not able to see this boy doing tapasya. What kind of tapasya is this? Bhagavan, you have to do something. Udayat karunadra chetaha. Because of that compassion that you have towards all beings, what you did, avir babhuvitha garudadhi rudaha, manifested yourself by seating on Garuda. So Bhagavan wanted to bless that boy. What did he do? He sat on Garuda, purastat tasya, and appeared in front of the boy. Just a few dashakams back, we saw Bhagavan coming on Garuda and blessing Kardama Prajapati. So, Stoma Mudirna Sama says Shuka Brahmam in Srimad Bhagavatam. Similarly, here Bhagavan sat on Garuda to appear in front of the boy. Purastad Twadrupa Chidrasa Nilina Matehe. Whose mind? This boy's mind was completely absorbed in that great Bhagavan's qualities. So the boy was absorbed in Bhagavan's qualities. The one whom he is thinking about sat on Garuda and appeared in front of him. Twadrupa Chidrasa Nilina Matehe. He came in the beautiful enchanting form to impress upon the child. What did that boy do after that? Next shloka. Twaddarshana pramada bharatarangitam tam dribhyam nimagnamiva rupa rasayanete tushtushamanam avagamya kapola deshe samsprishtavan sidarena tathadarena avagamya tam. Thinking him, perceiving him, twaddarshana pramada bhara tarangitam. The moment his mind was able to perceive him, his eyes were able to see him, waves of joy and ecstasy started lashing one after the other. How do waves come? After one wave comes, it doesn't mean you will see the next wave 2 days later. Before the first wave gets completed, the second wave comes and lashes. Vidya vichi sahasra sambhrama vila dugdharana vadambare, says Vedanta Deshika. So such are the waves of ecstasy, anubhavam and knowledge. The boy was experiencing it. Twaddarshana, after seeing you, pramadabhara tarangitam, dribhyam, after seeing you, nimagnam ivasthitam. His eyes couldn't, move hither and thither. They were just immersed. They were just caught in Bhagavan's beauty. Te Rupa. In whose Rupam? In your Rupam, Krishna. Hey Krishna of Guruvayur. It is your form that he was extremely impressed with. Rasayane. That looks like Amritam, ambrosia, nectar, which will be a panacea to the entire worldly ailments and problems. Te Rupa Rasayane. Tushtu Shamana. With a desire to praise you. Samsprishtavan. See, the boy wanted to praise. But he has to get those words. He's, after all, a little boy. Bhagavan touched his cheeks. So, samsprishtavan asi. Where did he touch? Kapola desha. Those soft, butter-like cheeks. Kapola deshe darena. Along those hands which were holding Panchajanyam, he held that Panchajanyam on his lap and then touched the boy's cheeks. Tatha adarena. With what? With adaram. With that affection. Whatever affection the boy wanted from his normal, mundane, mortal father called Uttanapada, that affection multitude times he got from the universal father now. What did he do after that? Next episode.
कल्याणरूपाय कलौ जनानां कल्याणदात्रे करुणासुधाब्दे कंवादिदिव्यायुधसत्कराय वातालयाधीश नमो नमस्ते। नारायण 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 नारायण।